Hi, this is Lee Jenkins, and I'm here today with a man that has truly inspired me. He's shown great courage throughout his life, overcoming numerous adversities, including being blind, and still achieving great success in many areas of his life. So I'd like to welcome my good friend, Danish Ahmed.
Hello, Lee, and welcome everyone. It's beautiful to be here.
We really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us tonight. And obviously, there's a lot of questions we'd like to ask, and one of the very first ones is, are you really blind? And, how did that happen?
Great question. It's one of those things that a lot of people find hard to believe. I'm actually an albino. My hair is white and my skin's white. That's a condition of albinism. And that condition causes a lack of pigmentation not only in the skin and the hair, but also in the retina of the eye, which causes most people with albinism to be legally blind, which means I actually can't see anything unless it's right in front of me. I can't recognize people. It's difficult for me to get around, and that's how I was born. It's a genetic condition. But what I did throughout my life was I made sure that I could integrate into this society and went out to memorize things and to become very functional so that I could be in the society without people judging me about what I can't see. And it's done me well, because that's what makes people not believe that I can't see, is the fact that I am so functional.
That would, be honest, I've known you for some time now, and that's something that's always stuck out in my mind, is that it's really easy to forget that you are actually blind. So it's 5% sight, is that what it is?
Yeah.
So when somebody thinks of 5% sight, obviously I have 100% sight. I can see anything. I can see, what you're wearing. I can see, everything about you and everything that's around us. So what is it that you can see?
Well, 5% allows me to see the general color and shape of large objects. So I can tell that there's a person in front of me, but I can't tell whether that person may be a male or a female, or what age or what ethnic background. But I know the general shape of a body. So it's like looking through a fogged door in a shower, where you can tell that someone's there, but you can't really recognize who it is.
That's fascinating. Something that I realized too is somebody that only has 5% sight usually has a cane. You see people walking down the street and they've got a white cane. Now you obviously don't use one. So how is it you get around so well without having that kind of help with something like that?
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess necessity is the mother of invention. And when I was young, because I was born in Pakistan, my parents, we had no electricity and running water. So they didn't understand what albinism was, and nor was it their first concern. First concern was, how are we going to feed our children? So I didn't know that I was supposed to have a cane. And it wasn't until I came to Canada with my family when I was 4 years old that I was put into the education system. And even then, it wasn't obvious to people that I couldn't see, so they didn't even know to recommend that to me. And by the time I found out that that would have been something for me to try, which was around high school, I experimented with it. And it was interesting because I found that by that point, I had learned so many ways to feel my way around, to use my intuition, to just have faith, that the cane actually became a hindrance, because now I lost an arm. If I want to carry things or be animated or use hand gestures, I was confined with a cane. So I've learned basically how to be functional without a cane.
That's fascinating. Something else I realized once I got to know you was that if you're in the Toronto area, I think everybody knows you. Everybody knows you. Everywhere you go, if Danish is there, everybody knows him. So that kind of leads into how do you actually get around, and obviously you can't drive if you can't see. So how do you manage to get all over Toronto? And it almost appears that you're actually doing it by yourself in a lot of ways. So how are you actually getting to all these functions to network and do the things that you do?
Well, I was frustrated by my limitations at first. I thought, this is horrible. I want to connect with people. I want to network, and yet I can't even recognize them. I don't even know if this is the same person I was talking to last week. How do I create relatability and form friendships when people are going to think that I'm rude or don't take the time to remember who they are? It's going to be a challenge. And then what I learned in life is we've got to take our disadvantages and we got to turn them into advantages. So I thought to myself, I can't recognize anybody. So, and everybody, thinks that I look different. So why don't I take that disadvantage that I look different and turn that into my advantage? And I said to myself, you know what? Even though I can't recognize people, everyone's going to recognize me because I'm going to go to as many networking events as possible. I'm going to be in front of so many people's faces as possible that they'll have no choice but to recognize me.
And they certainly do.
That's right.
There's no doubt about that. So, something that, when I first met you, I heard somebody introduce you as a visionary.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, I was fascinated with you being called a visionary when you have no real sight. So, can you explain what that means?
Well, absolutely. I think sight and vision are two very distinct things. What I've learned about how people see is that the eyes, the optics, the biochemical activity that goes to the brain is only about 5 to 10% of what the brain then takes that input and converts it into usable information. And that usable information, that intelligence, those references, those experiences are all based on social conditioning, are all based on our history and our past. So when people see, they're not just seeing the optics of the world, they're seeing through their filters of their life experiences. A vision, on the other hand, is to see something that has not been. So you don't take references from the past, you don't try relating it to anything. In fact, you don't even need sensory information because what's happening is vision is built in your imagination. You can close your eyes, and even if you can't physically see, you can create a reality in your mind, a three-dimensional world, a space where you can explore and look at people and navigate. And that, to the mind, is just as real as the stimulus optics of the world. So when we understand that vision is more powerful than sight, and then we can take our life and take it to the next level because there's so much more power in creating from a strong vision than looking at the optics of our circumstances, because the optics of the circumstances of our life are usually going to limit us, whereas creating a vision from our imagination is always going to expand us.
Wow, that's a phenomenal lesson for all of us. Something I want to ask is, what's the biggest thing in life that you wish you could see that maybe other people can see? And what do you think that would be?
That would be the smile of a woman flirting with me.
And you know what? The funny thing is I've seen that. Flirting with you. So maybe
That's meant for me.
Yeah, like it's your smile, but I'm seeing it. So I'm relaying that for you right now.
Awesome.
That does happen on a regular basis.
Awesome.
So, how do you think others can create the best vision for their life?
Well, I think it's realizing that it's not their sight that's going to give them power. What people tend to do is they look at the circumstances of their life. They look around using their sight to see what is. And when you do that, what you do is you just recreate what was. And instead, when we use vision and paint a picture of what we want, then that is so much more powerful because there's no limitations on that. It's not constrained by the circumstances of our life. It's really constrained by the power of our imagination. And when we realize that the power of our imagination creates our reality, then all of a sudden we can create any reality we want because we can create any vision that we want.
Excellent. So we've just talked about vision for other people's lives. So what's your vision for your life?
Well, my vision is to write a best-selling book called Blind Vision, and to be interviewed by Oprah Winfrey, and to be on stages around the world talking to tens and 20,000 fans in stadiums, and just having the time of my life, inspiring people, transforming communities, and loving the world.
That's amazing. So you really truly believe that people can create anything they want?
Yeah, and the reason I believe that is because I've had references in my life of people who've gone from Saul to Paul, from a zero to hero, from being a whiner to be a winner. And I've seen the same thing in my life. I've seen such drastic changes where I've gone from being suicidal to being totally inspired to live my dreams and living them and achieving many of my goals, having them be manifested simply because I was willing to conjure a vision and to have enough discipline and patience to allow that to manifest. And if I can do it, then you can do it. Because I'm not all that special. All I've done is said to myself, what do I want? And allowed my imagination to create it for me, and then focus and commit to that vision until it becomes realized.
You know, there's a lot of people, pretty much anybody has a vision or a dream that they'd like to fulfill. Why is it you think people don't manifest that vision that you're talking about?
Because they don't understand that it's possible. They see their circumstances and they think that's all that they have. Rather than having a belief, nourishing that belief of what's possible, we want to give ourselves evidence that anything is possible. And one of the great ways, this is why I love personal development, is that personal development is full of that. It's full of people's stories, their life stories of overcoming challenges and adversities. And even in history, read biographies of people who inspire you, people who've changed their lives, and people who've changed the world and changed culture and changed politics. When we read stories like that on a consistent basis, what that does, it makes our subconscious realize that anything is possible. And if those people can do it, then I can do it. And if we just keep nourishing that belief over and over and over and over again and have that vision, we will achieve our dreams.
Wow. Now, those are some great insights and stories that you've shared with us tonight, and I greatly appreciate it. Now, I'm sure that our audience would be interested in learning more from you, obviously. Now, would you like to share how they might be able to get a hold of you or connect with you in some way?
Sure. Just check out this web address at the bottom, www.ordinarywords.com. You can get access to tons of articles about my life and my blind vision. If you like Facebook, it's facebook.com/ordinarywords. And if you like videos, it's youtube.com/Mr. Distinct. Any way you want to get in touch with me, I love connecting. So let's love the world together.
Well, thank you so much, Danish, and I really look forward to hearing more from you in the near future.
Awesome.
Ever wonder why we're on